All right, everybody. We're back. I hit record, so we should be good. We should be good to go. Let me change our text image so we know what we're talking about. Everybody enjoyed their break. I had to turn the air conditioning on because, damn, it got hot. Now discussing Dungeons
D&D.
and Dragons. Dungeons and Durgans. Oh, that's really big. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Adjusted. So I actually have no idea how we're going to start this conversation off. I guess we'll start off like this. I'll ask Daniel a question, and he can ask questions, and we'll get going. How about that?
Yeah.
Daniel, what is your first experience with D&D? Like, do you remember where you first heard it? First time you've played it? First time you wanted to play it? You know, that kind of stuff?
I've heard about D&D for a while, like a long time. I had always heard about like the old Fantasy Flight, like Star Wars, RPG type stuff. If we're talking about RPG stuff
Yeah, just
specifically,
we talk about tabletop stuff. Everything
yeah,
kind of
like
feeds from D&D, in my
yeah.
opinion.
So that's like I remember hearing about that stuff like a while, like years ago, and then obviously I had always heard about like D&D. You know, that's always been something. Um, but obviously I was always more into Star Wars stuff because I've always been more into Star Wars. But like in terms of like D&D itself, I don't remember. I don't remember exactly when I first heard about it, but I think more recently, as of like within the past like 3 years or so, maybe. Probably, I would say since like not well, I want to say since I've joined Discord, but maybe like a little after that, maybe a little after since I've joined Discord. Because the first game that I was ever like that I actually ever played was that that one shot that we did. If you remember the Star Wars one shot that we did like almost 2 years ago at this point.
Yep.
It was the mountaintop rescue thing, I believe.
Yeah,
Was that
Mountaintop
the first one I
Rescue.
played?
We played the beginner game for Fantasy Flight's
Yeah, Fantasy
it's
Flight's
Star
Star
Wars
Wars
RPG.
Star Wars RPG game. And that was a blast. Okay, like I had a lot of fun playing that. It was great. It was a fun time. I remember like uh even after we played that first like one shot, I was like, yo, I'm like I could legit like we should like just make this a fucking campaign with these characters. Like I'm good to go, man.
Yeah.
This looks really cool. But we didn't end up doing that. Some of the people we played with in that game didn't end up joining us for the next one.
No. And I have some issues with the dice in that game, personally.
Yeah, yeah. Josh generally doesn't
It's a
really.
me thing. Uh
Yeah, he
and
personally
and
doesn't like using that system.
but now that I'm probably more advanced, I wouldn't mind revisiting it and giving it another go. Uh it uses narrative dice, and then it's just like I just didn't like how like they could cancel each other out, and to the point where like nothing happens, and it's just like you're supposed to kind of fill it in with story. And at the time, a lot of my players were newer to playing tabletop RPGs,
Yeah,
and I'm trying to run the game, so it's hard for me to try to fill it all. Not that I'm putting the blame on anybody, obviously. It's just I think it's something it's good for if you've played. You need to play like a little bit more before you probably hop into something like that, and you have players that are used to role playing more. Which I have now. I have
yeah,
players that are great now.
yeah. I mean, I've been going at this for like yeah, like I said, almost 2 years now. Like it was 2017. I remember when we did that first stuff. And then we like I said, we ended up doing that, and then we went to the from the mountaintop thing to the Galaxy in Peril campaign,
Campaign
which
lasted a few
which
months.
I yeah, it lasted a while. I really enjoyed that one. It was like my first legit campaign that I'd been a part of, and I was really excited because it was Star Wars, and obviously if you know me, you know I fucking love Star Wars, and I love my character in that. I was playing a Mandalorian bounty hunter, which obviously you'd be like, well, Boba Fett ripoff or Jango Fett ripoff, but you know what? I just love Mandalorians. I I thought they were badass, man. Like my character was cool. I like customized. I had like this whole backstory for him, and like just it was cool, man. I had the ship and the crew, and it was cool, man. It was set during the Clone Wars time, which was an interesting period. Um, and yeah, man, I had a great time with that game. It's a shame that it didn't last too long, but for the while that we did have it, I thought it was very, very, very enjoyable.
Yeah, yeah. So my first experience with it is obviously you hear about it growing up, and you see like there was an old cartoon show, and there's some really bad movies that are D&D
Mm,
based, and then the first thing I saw really was roleplay, which is a Twitch stream hosted by JP. Still going. They're still roleplay. They're doing Court of Swords, and they're messing with other things. And that was my first experience like seeing it played. And then in World of Warcraft, I had a friend that is a DM, and then we always joked, well, we should play a game. We should play a game. We should play a game. He usually played Pathfinder, and then Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition came along, right? So in 2014, D&D 5e came out, and I honestly think, and I think just about everybody will agree with me. So it's yeah, 5e is probably why Dungeons and Dragons right now and tabletops in general are having such a popularity boost, just because 5e is so easy to get into.
yeah, like in the past, I don't know, like a couple years, several years, D&D has had like a huge resurgence.
For sure, and not just
Yeah,
D&D. I mean, it started with D&D. D&D has
yeah, like
started it, but there's other games
just
that have come
just
out that's
yeah,
just like,
just tabletop RPGs in general have had a huge comeback and resurgence,
if
and
5e I think is what led that charge. Like it led to,
yeah.
and there's so many great systems, and I try to learn so many, but so
Also,
originally, sorry, yeah, go
another
ahead.
thing, no, just one thing before you continue. Another thing I want to throw in there is I forgot to mention that I also, before I started playing, I watched like other D&D games, like Josh mentioned, role play. I saw their balance of power campaign where they had like the two teams each other, and they like came together or whatever. And I saw that, and there was another one on uh fucking hyper RPG called Pencils and Parsecs that I really enjoyed. It was another Star Wars game, and there's a few that I've seen here and there that have been a lot of fun. The people were cool, and it's a good time, man. It's pretty great. I'm sure Josh will talk about watching other people play D&D
Yeah,
as well in the future. So, but anyway, I'll let him carry on with the story. So go
but
ahead.
yeah, like that's the first time I saw it, and the first episode I saw was one of the characters died in that episode. And I
Oh
thought,
damn.
damn, that's fucking. Well, now that I think back on it, it's like, you know how rare that is to watch something, and like the first time you
Somebody
watch
that
it, somebody dies. Uh, and that kind of, and I was kind of like, I don't know about this. And then later on, I checked it out again, and I think JP had put all the episodes up on YouTube. He still does. And I rewatched the entire original series. I got hooked on it. Which is funny because for me, roleplay was the first experience. But for most people I talk to, it's Critical Role that's like the big thing that
Yeah.
everybody sees now, because it's voice actors. They're playing D&D and they're amazing at it. I love Critical Role. Don't get me wrong. But my first experience was with the roleplay, and they were all great too. And Jeff Robinson is one of those Twitch streamers I love to still watch. He's XCOM bro. So
XCOM.
and he still plays XCOM all the time, and I'll stop in and watch his streams. But yeah, that was my first experience, like actually seeing it played, and I was always like, man, it's so much math is involved. It's really not. I'm so stupid, like for ever thinking that. Um,
And then even like nowadays, when we play on like Roll20, so like
it
you
does
don't
all
even
the
have you
math
don't
for
even have,
you. Yeah.
yeah, you don't even have to do the math.
And there's other things out there like Fantasy Grounds, and there's some other things that I haven't really got to try, and mostly it's Roll20 for me.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. I played in other things that weren't just Dungeons and Dragons, obviously, where I was just a player. I was scared to take up DMing for the longest time, and then it gets to the point where like you just want to play so bad, and you can't find a DM that has time or wants to. So I'm just like, fuck it, I'll learn to do it, and we'll just get a bunch of players. And I think that's how almost all DMs get started. It's like they just want to play so bad, and they're just like, fuck it, I'll run it.
Which is cool because as a DM, you can play like literally every other character that's not the party. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that's pretty neat, man.
If you're a DM and you wanted to play a specific character as a player, make them an NPC, man. Don't make them like necessarily a part of the party, but make them a part of the world at least, and that then with the party can interact with them, and
Yeah, man.
it's also a good way to get to try out different classes because you just make an NPC that's kind of similar to that class, man. It's cool.
You can always experiment for sure.
But the first thing I actually played wasn't D&D; it was Pathfinder.
Mm.
I'd found a random group on Roll20, which they have a looking for group system, and there's people always looking for games on there. So go check it out if you ever want to. It's a little intimidating if you're not used to just talking with strangers, but you kind of get to know people, and like, yeah, it gets fun. It's fun. But yeah, I played a few games of Pathfinder. The problem is the group was inconsistent. I think the DM always worked and was overseas, so he's like calling us from the hotel, and it's like super bad,
Oh dang! Yeah.
super bad, like broadband and stuff, and it's just like, yeah, no. And then my friend Chris, who's my DM, who's my friend from World of Warcraft, who I will call KT from here on out because that's what I'm used to calling him is KT.
That's how you know him. Yeah.
Yeah. He got a game together, and we played with his brother and two of our friends who are stoners. They're just the best people to play D&D with. I love them to death. Sorry, I'm still getting over being sick, guys. So I will occasionally pause and hack my guts up. And we just played, man, and it was so much fun, but it all eventually kind of falls apart. Schedules are wonky. Trying to get a schedule going is so hard.
It's the toughest thing, yeah. Which, by the way, we still have to figure out, I think, a day for our next session for our current game, Frozen Decimation, which you can watch every other Sunday here on this Twitch channel, Josh902.
Yeah, check it out. We love D&D. But yeah, that was my first experiences as a player, and my first time as a DM also was not D&D. It was Star Wars Fantasy Flight with KT and his brother and Jimmy again, and another friend. I think it's hard to remember. This was years ago, guys. And I have the worst memory anyway. And that was fun, but I was still new to it, and it's hard to stay kind of motivated sometimes with it. In that, for me, because especially when something's new, it's hard to, because you don't have a full grasp on everything, and you're not a super great storyteller yet, and you may never be really, but and then that game ended up falling apart, and then I've done some D&D, like I did one shots, which is kind of what I recommend is everybody try to do just like a one shot here and there if you're DMing.
One shots are always fun.
Yeah, do some one shots as a player, and like really the only thing you need, by the way, for this is how a little segue, little off, not off topic, but a little separate part of topic. Is like all you really need to play D&D, guys, is dice. You need your dice and you need your head. That's all you need. Really. The player handbook. There's free rules out there. You can get them. Player's handbook. It's not super expensive, and that's all you really need. You don't even need that, really. Come up with your own rules. People do it all the time. But all you need are these, guys. All you need are your dice. These right here. Whoops. I rolled a 9.
20?
I rolled a 9 because that was the D20. I didn't drop my D20. But yeah. That's all you need, guys. And there's starter sets out there, too. They come with dice and a little starter adventure if you're... And the biggest thing I want to tell people is, like, don't be afraid to DM because there's so many helpful tools out there to help you do it. There's Roll20. There's YouTube. Go watch Matt Colville's beginner guide, like all his gameplay tips, videos, playlists. Oh my God. The man has like over 90 videos at this point. And like you don't have to watch them all in order. They all talk about different things, but oh, they're so good. They're so good. I still learn things every time Coville puts out a nice learning video, and that's why he makes them. He wants more people to step into the shoes of a DM and play it. So,
Yeah, man.
but
Yeah,
the first,
speaking of
go ahead.
sorry. Speaking of one shots, I've only really played the Fantasy Flights, Star Wars, and like D&D 5e. So I think it would be interesting, like for me personally, to like try out other systems as well. Like I know, uh, we might talk about this later, but I know Josh has mentioned doing like City of Mist and like a couple other things like that in the future. So it'd be cool to try out different systems because really, I only have ever tried out D&D and or 5e and the Fantasy Flight Star Wars stuff. So it'd be cool to expand to other things.
It's actually really funny that you mentioned that because that's where I was going next. Was
Oh,
just I try to learn so many different systems because listen to me, guys. D&D 5e, you can hack it apart. You can cut it up into pieces and take and remove what you don't like and put it together into a whole new thing. I've taken things like Fate die. Fate die aren't really in Roll20 or in D&D 5e rather, but I occasionally take them and use them. Not even all the time. Why? Because it's fun. Sometimes it's fun to leave things up to fate. Destiny points, yeah, like from Star Wars Fantasy Flight. I haven't used them too much in 5e, but they could be fun in other systems. But yeah, don't be afraid to dip your toes in other systems, even if you don't. Like, it's almost impossible. Like, you cannot hold the entire Dungeon Master's Guide of every tabletop game in your head.
There's so many. Yeah.
It's impossible to remember all the rules. And don't be afraid to get rules wrong, because it's going to happen. The biggest thing is, like, you look it up after the game.
Mix and match stuff.
Yeah. Make up your own games, your own stories, man. Do that shit. Use parts of this, parts of that, and throw it in there, and there you go. You got something.
Like, speaking of Star Wars, there's a Star Wars 5e that people have done.
A total conversion.
Which looks really cool, and I'd like to try that someday.
They have a subreddit. Awesome. It's cool. Like, we're probably going to run a game of it at some point, and it'll probably be here on this channel. You'll probably see it if you come by here, man, at some point. At the moment, we're just doing 5e. Which, by the way, our game made it a year old. You know how hard that is? That's the hardest part of any tabletop game, is keeping the group together. Keeping a group together that long is so hard. The hardest part of the game isn't playing the game. It isn't knowing all the rules. It's getting everybody together and playing. And a big part of that is just communication with your players and just making sure you got a good table that talks things out with each other if any issues come up during the game. We've had issues come up before and had to talk to people, but it's just part of it, part of the thing. Like, most people are always understanding, and you know, everybody just wants to play and have a good time.
Yeah.
But yeah, if anybody has any any questions rather, in the chat, feel free to drop it in the chat and we'll answer them. But we're gonna ramble on probably a little bit.
A little bit here, yeah.
But for me personally, why I just love D&D or any tabletop, really, it depends on the tabletop because some of them are different, is I just love being able to tell a story. And being the DM, I make the story. The players make the story too, but I also get to come up with like certain plot points that'll happen and the players will see it. And they can either watch it or walk right on by, and it's totally up to them, man. And it's one of my favorite parts, and it's so satisfying creatively. Loki says he lacks imagination for these types of games. I disagree with you, Loki. I just think you need to work out that muscle in your head that more for imagination. Look at any book, read any movie. Steal from things you love. Steal from things you love.
D&D's or these type of games in general are great because you can literally do or be whatever you want. It's insane.
Yeah.
I mentioned City of Mist earlier, and one night, like, oh my god, like months ago, maybe a year ago or however long ago it was, Josh and I are like just found out about the game. And we're messing around with the character creator thing, and I just like made up a character on the spot, like that I thought was interesting, which essentially was like Swamp Thing mixed with like Indiana Jones and like Bruce Wayne, like combined into like one guy. And I thought that was fucking cool, man. You could like literally mix, match, combine things from other things that you already like and try to make them fit together in a way that you think would be pretty awesome. And that's one of the things I love about fucking these types of games is that you can do whatever, man. It is the possibilities are literally limitless because
Yeah. So for those wondering about City of Mist is a role-playing game where it's like a noir dealing with like modern day legends that inhabit kind of people. I haven't got to play it yet. We want to play it at some point. But
Yeah.
it's really, really cool. So like, for example, I made a character that's partly undercover detective and partly he's inhabited by the spirit of fucking Blackbeard. And it's
Yeah.
awesome. This is like it's like shit like that is pretty dope. And like you have to find a good balance between how far is too far for your legend and where they take over, which I think is called logos. I think it's called logos. And then the
I think it's logos, pathos, and something else, right?
yeah, like there's some stuff. I haven't read the book in a while, guys, because we've been kind of rolling with D&D. So
Yeah, man. It's been fun. Although Phenom has a question for you, Josh.
yeah,
Oh, you saw
yeah.
it already.
So D&D Beyond is so this just makes things even easier, right? D&D Beyond. You can buy all your stuff online and put it on an app on your phone. D&D Beyond. Check it out, man. They use it all the time on Critical Role. It's the official digital toolset and game companion for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. D&D Beyond offers a compendium with all the game rules, lores, and adventure, as well as digital tools like Character Builder, digital character sheet, and an interactive overlay Twitch extension, which is pretty dope. Pretty dope stuff from them over there. I haven't got to use it myself too much. I keep track of everything I like with Roll20, but it's really great if you're playing in real life and like need all your stuff handy and you put it right there on like a tablet. So check it out, man. It's great. It's great. I'm gonna mess with it at some point.
Check them out. Another
Uh,
thing I like to mention is Josh for our D&D game hooked us all up with a key to this really awesome upcoming app called Reroll. Uh, it's it's pretty much like pixel art of your character, and I think you can add like stats in there and stuff too as well, right?
yeah,
It's pretty much like a visual character sheet.
yeah. They hit
So
they hit all their stretch goals, and I believe they're gonna be adding character sheets and all that stuff in there.
yeah, they check them out because this is a really cool app. I'll post a link in the chat if you guys are interested in this. The campaign is over. It was a Kickstarter project. They reached all their goals. I think you can still you can make a late pledge if you want to still support it. But yeah, it's really cool, man. It's really cool looking app, which I think will work on PC as well because that was one of the stretch goals.
Yeah, and here's
And I'm
another
really
thing. It's just
go for it.
the resurgence of Kickstarter. I mean, D&D has led to so many great projects on Kickstarter that are tabletop related, like Reroll, like sure Loki. Sorry, my brain's frying. Like Strongholds and Followers, which is Matt Colville's like book about making strongholds, and like it helped start his company, and like part of it, and that's why they're doing their stream over on MCDM. Go follow them. I love their stream so much. It's so entertaining. Uh, and uh, and that's why they're doing a stream now. All that got funded on their Kickstarter, and there's some great ones out there. And I try to find one to shout out every once in a while because I love to. I mean, I just love to support tabletops and RPGs so much. It means. And here's another thing of when I started running in DMing games is I want as many people in the world as they possibly can to fucking play D&D. Like it's fun. I don't care. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you love. I don't care who you believe in. Come play D&D with me because it's fucking fun. And I want you to.
D&D is a blast. I
Yeah,
ever since I started playing it, I always want to be involved in at least a game. Like I just haven't since I've started playing for the very first time like 2 years ago. I have not been without a game. So I always want to be involved in something. I always try to push for a weekly game, but man, it can't it does can't happen. I know people are busy and whatnot, but like it's either way. It's fun to just be involved in a game if you can because it's a blast always. You never know what's gonna happen. That's another thing. You never know what's gonna happen each time you play. It's some really cool shit, some really crazy shit can go down, and it's just overall a really fun experience and time, a good time with awesome people if you have a good group.
yeah.
So definitely 10 out of 10 recommend joining a D&D game.
That's another thing I want to hit on is finding a good group. If you have tried D&D in the past and just it fell apart, look at the group you were playing with and see if they were the cause
For sure.
they're like, I'll just be honest with you, there are horrible people out there. Like, and they play D&D too. And they're just assholes and jerks, but I feel like the vast majority of people are people like you or me and nerdy as fuck and just love to play. So if you've
Yeah, I've
given it a
been
chance in the past and it didn't work out, give it another go. Really do. I want you to.
yeah, I was just gonna say I've been really fortunate enough to have good groups each time I've played a game. So been really lucky in that regard to have like pretty good groups every time that I've tried a game out. So pretty awesome. That's just really awesome that I have the ability to say that every time I've played a game I've had a pretty solid awesome group to play with. So really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, but like the reason I started this game that's lasted over a year was I just want people to play D&D. I wanted to get a bunch of new people that never played it before, and I got quite a few, and some of them have kind of come and left, and like let's like come in and play and learn the game. Maybe you'll like it. Maybe you won't, but at least you gave it the old try if you did. And like I've got the party now that they're great. They are they're getting like even a year later they're still learning and are interested in the game and having a good time. And the number one question I ask myself after every game is, did everyone have fun? I think they did. That's the most important thing. Did you have fun playing? If you did, play it again and keep playing, man. It's great.
I'm trying to, Josh. I'm trying to get the game every week. All right. Come on now.
Maybe eventually. But yeah, and that's one of the reasons I like to stream it too, is I want people to see what it is, right? I want people to see this is D&D. This is how it's supposed to be. This
Fun, man.
you, your friends, food, drink, snack, and rolling dice and telling stories, and it's a hell of a good time. So go if you've given it a chance in the past and it hasn't really worked out for you. I want you to try it one more time. Yeah, give it another go.
Try to join in one of Josh's games because I know he wants to do some one shots and stuff too.
Yeah, that'll happen. Check out our Discords, man. The links are there. I think I did have it. I'll link it in the chat after I'm done because. Yeah, I'm sure it's down below is the info for it.
Yeah, the opportunities for D&D are around there. You just gotta give it a shot because you never know until you try it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you've already tried it, again, Josh, like Josh said, make sure the group wasn't the problem, and if it was, you can always try another group because D&D is literally a great thing.
Yeah, and there's so many different ways to play too. Like there's so many different types of players. Like there's people that are super in the story stuff and not super into combat. That's cool. Make sure you're in the right group for it because not everybody's like that. Then there's groups that are super mega into combat and very light on role playing. That's also great. Go for it. Play it however you want. That's the joy of it. That's just play it however you want. However you want, however you need. And give it a go. And try out some of these different systems. But it's very nice to like try on somebody else's shoes for a while. You know what I mean? Like, well, today I'm Josh. And Josh's life can be kind of boring sometimes. Well, now I'm Allie. I'm a warlock who lost his wife and has a fucked up voice and has a daughter and
Coughing fits.
coughing fits, yeah, and infected with this horrible disease, and it's cool. It's cool to step in to be
very
that person.
interesting and mysterious character.
Yeah. It's nobody not like me, super confident, like just everything. It's good to step, and I think that's something a lot of beginners don't. A lot of beginners to D&D tend to put themselves in the game because that's what they're comfortable with for that first time, right?
Yeah.
And that's fine, but I think where D&D really starts to shine is when you
expand your horizons.
Try to be something else that maybe you're not. Try and see, step into the shoes of a woman in medieval times and see how much you like it. You know what I mean? Like,
that's a good point, because there's a lot of maybe men who play female characters or females who play male characters. It's interesting perspective to see it the other way.
Play a character that has completely different views on gender and sexuality in their world.
Shit, in one of my Star Wars games, I played a fucking Wookiee, and I was like, should I like roar like a Wookiee, or should I just I don't know. It was weird at first, but it's cool, man. Just playing different just things that are not yourself.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool
to figure it out. Yeah.
Try on the robes of that there wizard and have you a good time.
Yeah.
Or put on the Wookiee suit and
roar your heart out.
Yeah, go for it. But yeah, I mean, I just want to touch on it a little bit. We haven't really gotten too many questions, so.
Yeah, not too many.
And I'm not gonna it's not gonna be a big discussion anyway without more guests, because it's just me and Daniel here, and I'm very bad at coming up with things to talk about. Until the show, when the show ends, I'll have 50 ideas of what we should have talked about, and it'll be too late.
Yeah, listen here, man. We'll always have the future to talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, just get yourself in a D&D game, guys, because it really is a great time.
That's the ultimate discussion probably for this episode, is just your primers. Go out there and find you a group and give it a go, man. It's just dice. Yeah. If you don't, and everybody should try it at least once, I think. I was thinking about doing a group for my family with my dad and my nephews.
Oh, damn.
I thought that might be fun, although they're really super redneck and hick in the South, so it might not be. But but yeah, you never know till you try. It's fun telling stories. Exactly. It's in our nature to tell stories, I think.
And then, like I said, you can literally do whatever. I've talked to Josh about wanting to do another Star Wars game with everybody's a stormtrooper and we're all stormtroopers and in the Empire and stuff, or one set in the Terminator universe, or another one maybe set in the Alien universe, or so many. Literally, like I said, you can do whatever. If there's not a system out there that you want to use, fucking come up with your own, kit bash and combine and mix and match things to come up with something that you want to try out, man. Because that's the beauty about this tabletop RPG stuff, man, is that you can do whatever you want if you put your mind to it. Because it's why I love it, man, because you can do whatever.
Yeah. And another thing is excuse me, sir, do you have a menu? I completely blanked. Players. If you're a player and you have a DM and they work really hard for you, make sure to thank them. Give them some love. I have players that do that for me, and I can't tell you how motivated and happy that makes me for D&D. But yeah. Just thank your DM and your players, and just have a good time, man.
Yeah, Josh
they work real hard.
Pretty great DM.
I spent all this week making maps, pretty much for hours.
Yeah, he spends a lot of his time coming up with stuff for us, and it's pretty great. Like I mentioned earlier, he got us that reroll stuff, and he's been making maps, and he was working on a family tree type flowchart thing that looked pretty rad, and
yeah,
it just he's got like a calendar and stuff, and he's done a lot of cool, really really cool shit that I hadn't even thought about. But like this guy has just come up with a bunch of really cool stuff for us, man. It's I I personally enjoy it a lot. Like I said, the flowchart thing is cool. The map is really cool. The calendar is a really interesting idea. Um, just so much cool stuff, man. Like I I I remember before we had started this game, I was like, well, because I had always been more comfortable um being a part of things that had already existed because it was easier for me that way. Like Star Wars, oh, easy. I know what it's about. I can like create my character according to whatever we're gonna be doing, right? So at the beginning of Frozen Decimation, I was like, well, I don't know what to do because this is Josh's world and he created this thing. So I don't know what I can or can't do, or what's like how things work in his world and whatnot. So I was like, well, shit, I don't know what. But eventually, you just gotta do whatever the hell you want, and then him being the DM and being his world, he'll let you know what you can or can't do, or what's cool and whatnot. And for the most part, he lets you do whatever, unless you're Tyler and you try to make a flying bird thing that he's like, nah, fam, we ain't rolling with
Extinct.
that.
Extinct.
Yeah,
He's the reason that
dead,
Eric Croker are
dead.
dead in my world. I let him do it in a one shot, by the way. And I was
Yeah,
like, yeah, these are
no,
now extinct on my world. They died out.
yeah. So at the beginning, I was like, well, damn, I don't know what the hell, but here we are a year later, and I fucking love this shit, man. I look forward to it every time. I want to try to get our game to be every week, but I've been trying to get this game every week for the longest time, damn it. But again, I know people are busy, and you know, it might be a little tough sometimes. But I
Daniel
honestly,
Daniel's brought up some good points I want to hit on while he was talking, and that is first of all, I want to start with the calendar because that was like the first thing you hit on that made me have a spark of like, oh, I should tell them about this, right? So
yeah,
I do have a calendar in my world, and every long rest, a day passes. DMs, you should try this because it adds an entire different dynamic when your when your players' characters start to fucking age. Like it adds a whole new like, oh damn, we're getting
yeah,
older.
we are getting
Like
older.
it's like a very interesting thing, and I think
Not only are we getting older in real life, we're getting older in the game too.
yeah, right. And it's like I think Coville mentioned it in this game, and it's what gave me, or in one of his videos, and it's the one that made me think I should do a calendar because why wouldn't there be a calendar? It totally makes sense that there's a calendar. And then everything that you can add as a DM that's world building makes the world more believable and helps your players suspend that disbelief, like suspend that belief rather into disbelief and having fun in that world. It makes it seem more real.
For sure.
And you said something else, and I had a whole line about it, and I can't remember what it is now.
Oh, I mentioned the calendar and the flow chart that you made, and just the map. Uh,
Oh,
I
there's
mean, I
so
guess
many
we can.
great tools out there too.
I guess we can just talk about Frozen Decimation for a little bit because, like you said, we've been talking about it here and there since we
I'm
started talking about it.
I'm thinking about like I kind of want to do like what is it? Uh, like game diaries, right? Like where I'm just like, here's what happened this week, and we tell it like a story kind of
Oh, dude,
deal.
that would be cool,
I
man.
think that'd
Yeah,
be fun.
that
But
would
yeah,
be cool.
but yeah, what would you like to bring up specifically about our game? Do you have anything in mind?
No, I mean just talking about it in general, like what we have been, like
I remember what I was gonna say now. Um, so Daniel was talking about how he liked playing in Star Wars because he knows Star Wars, right?
because yeah, I was just familiar with it, like with the world and everything. Because obviously, I know like almost everything about Star Wars, so that's why I was familiar with making my character and which era we were in, what we were playing in, and whatnot. So yeah, that's what I meant
So
by
what
that.
if I told you as the DM that had the opposite effect on me, where I felt like I was in a box and had a hard time building things around it because it's Star Wars.
I can understand that for sure. Yeah, because there's already so much that you have to, because there's a lot of rules that you have to abide by, right? Like if like for example, the Clone Wars, you have the Republic, you have the CIS, they're in a war. You have a certain amount of characters you that are kind of untouchable because you know they go on to do things later, and some certain people have a strict like when certain characters die and whatnot, and like I get all that stuff. So yeah, it's understandable. I get it.
And adding on to you didn't know where to start in 5e because it's just open ended and it's my world. But it's
Yeah,
not necessarily my world, right? It's our world, right? So what I like to do is I'll give players a part of the world and let them build it, and that's where they come
yeah.
from.
That's kind of what I did too. That's why I said like at first I was like, well, I don't know what the hell to do here, but then I was like, you know what? You kind of gave us a little bit of creative freedom with certain things, so I went with it, man. Like my character is not even from like if you look at the map of the world here, which if you want to bring it up on stream.
I don't know if I have a screen big enough for it. Let me see.
Well, I have it open here. It's the map of Alaric, which is Josh's world here. And my character isn't even from the known. I'm just gonna refer to the map as the known world, right? I made my character like off into the west, beyond the unknown lands, like off into another region of the world. This is like a certain area of it. So I made my character from like not from here. And
Let
yeah,
me see
it's
if I can get a
just
picture up on screen.
I'll put it in the chat if you guys are interested. So yeah, like that's Josh's world. It's a completely frozen over, wasteland of
There
frozenness,
you go.
ice.
It's in
There
between
it
us.
is.
It's gigantic.
That
By the
works.
way.
That's fine. So yeah, that's the map right there. And so if you guys see the unknown lands, I made my character be like from the west of that, and as you can see, obviously there's nothing but water off of that. So I what I imagine is like there's another like continent type thing like this off further to the west that where my character is from, and
Yeah, there are
I
others out there, man.
and I made my like backstory off of that. I named like the place and the city and the whatnot, and there was some backstory that I got a chance to talk about during a certain I would say flashback type dream sequence that we had
Yeah.
on an episode a couple episodes ago that I mentioned for my backstory, and that was cool. Yeah, that's another thing. Getting to like talk about certain things from your character that pop up in the game is really cool. Like just having things that you write about in your backstory and then having like your DM like Josh just bring it up is really fucking cool, because there was a couple episodes ago I had certain characters that I had created like as a part of the backstory. It was a group of people that I created, and Josh used it in the game in the backstory and put it into the game in the session, and
And
it
they all
was
had
just really really cool.
badass pictures, by the way.
The tokens were pretty fucking dope. I have to.
I spent hours looking for cool art to turn in those tokens.
Yes, so stuff like that is fucking awesome when it happens in the game. You're like, oh shit, this is like it's just cool seeing things that you created come make its way into the world and the story and all that stuff. So that's another one of my favorite things. And just
Oh, I have
yeah,
something.
man. Oh, what's up?
So before we start every game, this is something that we're used to it now, but when we started it, it's kind of unusual, which is
Oh yeah.
I have a big table um called, let me get it right here. Where's it at? I have it somewhere. So they're called warm-up questions. And I got these off Reddit over on Reddit Behind the Tables, which you should check out, by the way. There's so many great resources on Reddit for D&D guys and tabletops in general. They have help sections, they have DM help sections. Go check them out. You can go in there and ask questions. People are so nice and so fucking helpful. I cannot praise them enough. So over on DM Academy, somebody had posted like, I do warm-up questions. A system that he used to set the mood for the session, as well as kind of like help build the character and their backstory stuff. And they left a big bunch of examples over there, and then somebody made a list. So before every game, I have the characters in Roll20 roll a D100, and what comes up is that we asked one of the questions, and and it kind of helps set the mood a little bit. It kind of lets the characters kind of the players dip into their character's backstory a little bit, and kind of help them get used to he's into role playing. So check out those D100 warm up questions. I'm not gonna post them in the chat because I want to keep them secret from my players because I think that's more fun.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's
uh,
always funny when we like roll and then it's like, oh, we've answered that one already. Roll again.
roll again. Some of them are hard, man, and some of them are just
They
silly.
really are, man. It's interesting because some of them like, well, I don't know. And the other ones I'm like, oh, I know my answer right away. So that's why whenever I like know my answer right away, I'm just like, I'll just go first because I know.
Like
So,
like one of the questions is describe your perfect afternoon, and then I'd be like, Daniel, what is Jedric's perfect afternoon? And Daniel would answer as Jedric what his perfect afternoon was. Like,
I'll answer it like in character. Everybody will have a turn to answer it in character if they choose or whatever, and then yeah, that's how we go about it.
it's something little that I really like doing, and I'm glad I added it in there.
Yeah,
I get that
it's
it's
really
probably
interesting.
not for everybody, but I really enjoy it, and I think the players enjoy it. It's a way that they can get some backstory out, even if they don't necessarily have something in that session for their backstory. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, and yeah, the biggest thing is just having fun and having a good time. So,
for sure.
I don't really have much of anything else that I can think of at the moment. So if we don't have any questions, I think that might be the show. Or if
That
Daniel has anything
might
he wants to add,
that
go for it.
might be it, but no, yeah, just D&D is a lot of fun.
And it's going to be talked about a lot more than this. We're going to have guests on talking about it. I'll probably have KT on at some point. We'll probably have Tyler on at some point. We'll probably have Jake on at some point to talk D&D.
Yeah, we'll figure out guests and stuff in the future.
Yeah. We're going to, Clockwork Cantina is going to be going a long time, and we don't want to give it all away on one little go. But
For sure, but we can give you guys what next week's main topic is going to be, which I'm sure if you are looking at when next week's show is going to fall upon, you know what it's going to be our main topic, which originally was going to be something else, but then we're like, oh wait, E3 2019 is happening
yeah,
next week.
boy,
So
we
so
forgot.
guess what, everybody? That's going to be our topic next week. We're going to be discussing E3
What we want to
as in,
see and what we probably will see.
and what we have seen, because by the time the podcast comes out, the E3
Yeah.
will have been going on already for a
You know
couple
what I want
days.
to do? I want to think of just the most outrageous thing that could show up and just throw that out. What if this shows up? I'm probably gonna do that. I'm probably gonna think of
Hey
something like
man,
that.
I'll be looking forward to it. I'll be pretty excited to see what happens because
Yeah.
there hasn't really been anything this year gaming wise that I've like really wanted. You know what I mean? Like Half Life 3.
No.
Yeah, Half Life 3 confirmed, right?
I feel like you could say that every. It's a cop out answer though.
That's like on everybody's what's that chart that they come up with and they're like, "Oh, this is going to be on here." Just like KOTOR 3 is on there every year and a bunch of other stuff, man.
I ain't gonna knock it because I watched E3 coverage for the longest time, and DJ Weed every year said Beyond Good and Evil 2 until it finally happened. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's what we'll be talking about. And
Yeah, that'll be next week's topic is E3 2019. Remember, if you guys have questions or, anything you'd
comments,
like
feedback,
to
even.
talk about, yeah. Anything you guys like to talk about regarding the podcast, feel free to join my Discord server. And there's a specific channel in there for the Clockwork Cantina podcast where you can let us know your thoughts on what's going on and what's happening. So yeah. And as always, this episode will be up on YouTube probably tomorrow, I would imagine, or sometime later. Anyway, just keep an eye out for that.
The videos on this one should be smaller, so it shouldn't take as long, but it'll probably be tomorrow.
Yeah, and as always, they're split up into 2 parts, and they'll be uploaded and put up ASAP.
Yeah,
If you're watching right now on YouTube, then we made it. We're here. You're watching us. And yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. It was just we feel like talking D&D this week, and
yeah.
I'm obviously newer to it than Josh is, but I still really enjoy it very much.
I'm still
And
kind of a baby in it sometimes. Like
and I
whenever
really have fun with it, man. Like there has not been a game that I've played that I have not enjoyed. Um and I'm looking forward to future games we have. As much as I enjoy the one Frozen Decimation, I'm pretty excited for other games too, because the possibilities are endless, and we have a lot of things in mind that we want to do.
Yeah, boy.
Which we'll get to eventually, because guess what? This podcast was something we had in our minds forever, and then
It's
here
here.
we are
Yeah.
making it happen every week.
3 episodes.
It's a reality.
Let's.
We're three episodes in, man.
Here to the thousands is what we're going for.
For as long we're gonna go for as long as we can go for, I think.
Yeah,
right?
boy. All right.
Why not, man?
But yeah, that's our topic, guys.
That's our show for today, for this week.
Let's get Daniel. If you can do your shout outs, I'm gonna flop over to your cam.
Yeah, I actually am gonna be doing a bonus stream today. Shortly, sometime after this, I will be doing a Jackbox Party Pack 5 stream on my channel, twitch.tv/DT3. It's a little link down there below, and so check it out. It's down there. If you're watching this on YouTube, check it out, and maybe you can join in next time, because we'll be doing that today, which is June 1st, Saturday. So yeah, we'll be doing that, and then on Monday, I'm gonna be wrapping up, hopefully wrapping up the main story of The Witcher 3, because we just finished up the Hearts of Stone DLC yesterday, and yeah, hopefully Monday we'll be finishing up the main story for The Witcher 3, and yeah, man, lots of stuff to look forward to. Very, very exciting. Looking forward to seeing you guys next week for the next episode, which again, E3 2019.
Hell yeah. All right. Hey guys, I just want to continue to thank everybody for their support in coming out to this stream and helping Daniel and I make it better. I'm going to continue to try to improve it and make it better as well for you guys. So I hope you all had a good time here, and I hope we convinced a few of you to try D&D and maybe try some DMing. I know we didn't spend a long time on the topic, but we're talk about it a lot. So trust me, I'm a big fat nerd. So as for me, I don't really have much coming up. I'm gonna try to stream this upcoming week, maybe some Total War. I want to do a co-op campaign with Phenom at some point, but I don't know how much he's gotten to play yet, and we're gonna do some co-op, I think. And if he's cool with us streaming that. Shout outs. I mentioned several people during the stream that I just want to shout out. Go check out ItMeGP. He does his role play stuff, which is good. Not just D&D, but also Stars Without Numbers and Jesse Cox's show that he does over there. So check that out. Matthew Colville, go check out his YouTube. I think it's just Matthew Colville, and check out their D&D stream, which is twitch.tv/mcdm. It's very great. They play on Wednesdays, and it's so much fun to watch. And then last shout out to Critical Role. Go check them out, twitch.tv/Critical Role. They play every Thursday, and they're all voice actors, and they play amazing D&D, but for the love of God, do not treat your DM like he's Matthew Mercer, or he's going to have a bad time, because nobody can be that damn good. But yeah. Until next time, guys, this is Daniel and I saying goodbye.
See you next week, guys.